Hello. So, to start with, I'm going to do a bit of a demonstration, for which I would like 3 volunteers. So, argue amongst yourselves. So, okay, come then. Well done. I don't mind if the other 2 are adults, that's fine. Okay, well done, thank you. One more? Oh, you. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you're actually coming. You were volunteered. Excellent. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Right. So, in here we have a piece of string. Duncan, could you hold one end of that piece of string? And what I will do is, if you could walk over to where Kim is, and that's good. It's really good to see, isn't it? Thank you. That's great. And then I'll cut this piece off there. And then if the 2 of you, these weren't the best scissors in the world, were they, to pick? Okay. If the 2 of you could hold that piece of string on the ground, and I would like you, I can't remember your name. What's your name? Zach. Hello, Zach. This is going to be fun, okay? Nothing to worry about. So, if you start this end of this piece of string and walk along the string from one end to the other, keeping your feet on the string at all times. Okay? And let's just do it again backwards, just to prove that you can really do it. Excellent. Piece of cake. Well done. Okay, so now I'd like you to walk from one end of the string to the other while carrying some cuddly toys. So, if you can that one as well. Okay, so, yeah, that's great. Well done. Good work, Zach. Okay, now, I'd like you to take this cuddly toy as well, okay, and then again start at this end, and I would like you to hop along the string without falling off the string. That's fantastic. Well done. Now I'd like to come back to this end and try again hopping with your eyes shut. Really well done. Excellent. I think he deserves a big round of applause for that. Thank you so much, Zach. And thank you to you as well. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. That was brilliant. So I've been a Christian since I was very small. But I've spent a lot of time in my life feeling like I was in the last round of that string game. I felt like it was impossible to live the way that God wanted me to. Like trying to hop along a piece of string, carrying some cuddlies with my eyes shut. It felt like there was just so much to get wrong. So much that I had to try and hold and balance all together at the same time, that it was almost impossible. I felt like God was looking down at me with a stern expression, waiting for me to slip up. I was afraid of failing because I thought I could imagine what it would be like if God started disapproving of what I was doing, and I couldn't handle the thought. I didn't want to think like that. And so I secretly believed, really, that God spent most of his time watching me with a kind of heavy sigh, shaking his head at me and tutting a lot. And it seemed the only way that I could expect him to give me good things in my life was if I made sure I got pretty much everything right, pretty much all the time. But over the last few years, God has been gradually painting me a very different picture of who he is. And Psalm 103, verses 7 to 14, sum this up well. He revealed his character to Moses and his deeds to the people of Israel. The Lord is compassionate and merciful, slow to get angry, and filled with unfailing love. He will not constantly accuse us, nor remain angry forever. He does not punish us for all our sins. He does not deal harshly with us as we deserve. But his unfailing love toward those who fear him is as great as the height of the heavens above the earth. He has removed our sins as far from us as the east is from the west. The Lord is like a father to his children, tender and compassionate to those who fear him. For he knows how weak we are. He remembers we are only dust. So I've known and loved this psalm for years. The God that those verses describe is not petty. As the psalm puts it, he will not constantly accuse. He doesn't go around with a pointy finger looking for where I've failed. He's not looking for me to slip up so he can roll his eyes and say, typical. So every so often, I would find God reminding me of how he really views me, that he deals with me in love and mercy and compassion. And I would realise that I was making life way too difficult myself. I was making up rules and trying to follow them in case I put a foot wrong, worrying far too much about the way I was living. Maybe I could allow myself to relax a bit. For a while, life would then feel a bit more like the first round of the string game. There were no cuddly toys to carry. There was no hopping to do. I had my eyes open. Surely this was freedom. All I had to do was simply walk the line, and everything was going to be okay. But pretty quickly, I would start worrying again. How far wrong could I go before God would start to lose patience with me? Exactly how much grace did I have? What if I made a really bad choice? And what about all those things I must be doing wrong all the time and didn't even know about? Because God's perfect. He can't just ignore sin like it's not happening. So surely I had to be careful, didn't I? So life would get harder and harder. And before I knew where I was, I would find myself back in the position of trying hard to please God against what seemed like impossible odds. The reason my thought process went down this path is because I hadn't grasped the truth behind a crucial phrase from verses 13 to 14 of this psalm. The Lord is like a father to his children, tender and compassionate to those who fear him, for he knows how weak we are. Caris, would you like to come up? So this is Caris. Caris is my middle-sized daughter. I think she's fantastic. I love her to pieces. She gets a clap just for being Caris. I love all sorts of things about Caris. I love the way that she is smiley and enthusiastic. I love the way that she's passionate about things. I love the fact that she can make incredible cakes. And I love the fact that she can argue her way out of pretty much anything. At least most of the time I love that anyway. But imagine if, and I must stress this is an entirely made-up story, Caris one day finds a cricket ball in our garden and decides it would be a great idea to throw the cricket ball repeatedly at our dodgiest fence post and see how much the fence panels move. Daddy, that's me, observes this dubious activity and issues a warning to his beloved offspring. Stop throwing the ball at that fence. You could take the whole thing down. But the beloved fruit of my loins thinks that before obeying my instruction, it would be a shame not to have just one more go. Unhappily, not only does this last ball take out the rotten fence post, it also goes on to score a direct hit on the greenhouse behind, which belongs to my fictional neighbour, Mr. Grumbletrousers. Mr. Grumbletrousers is less than impressed and demands that my small child pays him back the £250 it will cost him to replace the pane of special ultraviolet reflective polarised super-duper glass with Go Faster stripes and a cherry on top. What do I do? Well, I could pay my neighbour £250. But it's not my fault. It was Caris's fault. She did it. So am I then going to dock her the next 5 years of pocket money to make up for it? Probably not. Why would I not do that? Because I love her and I know what that would do to her. Thank you, Caris. So, as a picture of God and us, there are some shortcomings to that story, but it gets a couple of things really right. Like Caris in the story, the debt I owed for my sin, not just my bad actions, but my bad words, my bad motives, wasn't something I could pay. God and people get hurt when I act in an unloving way to them. And I don't have what's necessary to make that right. Evil demands justice, so much so that I owed God my life. But verse 10 of this psalm says he does not punish us for all our sins. He does not treat us harshly, as we deserve. How can this happen? God can't just ignore sin, but he can remove it from us, as far as the east is from the west. He took on himself all of the punishment for the wrong I had done, thought, and said. All of it. Like Caris, I couldn't pay, but God paid himself in the person of Jesus, dying a death that by legal right should have been mine. Now I owe God absolutely nothing. And God doesn't have to punish me anymore. My failures are out of the picture. God, the original, perfect, best ever Father, is free to act towards me purely as a father does, the way that he always planned to. Everything about the way that he deals with me is like a father with his child. Anger at my sin doesn't get a look in anymore. He gets to love me. He gets to nurture me, to help me, to bless me, to give me good things in my life, and to give me the privilege of being part of his fantastic plan to restore the world. And he is super happy about the whole deal. You see, I used to think that God wanted to take some of the pressure off me so that it was simpler and easier to keep him happy. Going back to the line walking game, I thought he wanted me to stop hopping, to open my eyes, and to give him some of the cuddly toys back, so that it was easier not to fall off the line. But I hadn't taken the truth of this psalm far enough. Actually, what he wanted me to realize was this: there is no line. I don't have to do anything, even a tiny little thing, to keep in God's good books, to keep him happy, to stop him from falling out with me, to stop him laying into me, to stop him looking at me as a disappointment. There is no line for me to walk along. There is no tightrope for me to fall off. I can do this. It doesn't make any difference. Compassion, mercy, permanent, unstoppable, overwhelming love. That's who God is. That's who our Father is. He doesn't fly off the handle every time you or I get something wrong. He's not interested in doing that. God's attitude to us is always this: a father loving his child, because that's who he is. He's always protecting you, always encouraging you, always helping you, always leading you down good roads. And he's always there to get you out of trouble. God never gets tired of you, and he doesn't abandon you to the consequences of your actions. There is nothing you can do to change the way God looks at you. God is your Father, and he is the happiest dad in the world.